Hi everyone, I am back with another tarot tag. It is the Dark Academia Tarot, and again, I will leave the original creator of the tag down in the description so you can check it all out. This one is a bit longer. There is actually 12 questions, so I will try to get through this as quickly as I can. But it's a really fun tag, a really cool way to show off some of your decks that you may not use all the time. And of course, we're coming into fall season, so it's really perfect for, these darker parts of the year. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The first one is The Secret of the Library, a deck that captivates you with its mysteries and hidden depths. Okay, so oldie, guys, I'm going old school here. This is the Fantastical Creatures Tarot by Lisa Hunt and DJ Conway. So this deck is very mythical feeling, okay? Very old feeling, so hence library. I love the backs. It gives that feel too. And the meanings on the cards, it kind of comes off a little different, okay? It gives you this really cool like starter set kind of thing to try to start it out. But this one right here is like the devil card in the deck, and it's just a really interesting take, and it does have some mysteries in the cards when you're going through it and doing readings. And when you're reading from the book, like I said, it's just a little bit different. It's very mythical, very fantasy based, which gives you this mystery and hidden stuff going on, especially when you look in the idea of folklore and how some of these myths and legends came along and what they kind of evoke in our psyche as we move through our lives. And if I was in a library and saw this deck, I would have to sit down and just look through it and enjoy parts of it and, kind of just take it in, because it's a lot and there are mysteries and there's just a lot you can do with this deck and I don't use this deck enough. I want to, I really do. I really should use this deck more. All right, the next question or, tag part is number 2 is Inkwell and Quill, a deck you use for creativity, a deck that inspires you like an old journal. So the one I chose for this is from an artist, Terry Foss, and it is the Earthly Souls, Spirits, and Spirits Moon Oracle. I chose this one because of the creativity. It's very, very creative, and it does give you like a grimoire feel to some of the cards, which I really like. Like these could easily be drawings put up in a grimoire of some kind and study material, and I love that about this deck. Plus, it just encourages me to create with color, and it's that time of year for crafting for me, and it evokes a lot of inspiration in different ways, from colors to the way things come together to the different image styles. And just things I didn't think of previously, and putting it together in ways I hadn't thought about it previously. So it's one of those decks that's truly just inspiring for me to use. So I chose it for my creativity deck. There's a lot of decks that I would use for creativity. This is just one of those ones that stands out for me. And again, Terry Foss creates her own art. She's an artist, so of course I'm going to choose an artist deck. Why not? All of them have art, right? But this is just, I don't know, it just feels different to me. All right, 3, Eternal Autumn, a deck that conveys the melancholy of summer giving way to fall. So this one was really hard for me to choose one, but ultimately I landed on the Mystic Fairy Tarot. That's the one I ultimately chose because of the fall colors, and it can feel like summer, spring, winter, or fall, really, but I equate it more often with fall, or like the turning of from summer to fall. It's like August. This deck is like August to me. Like that's the best way I can describe this deck, is that it's an August deck, and it's one of those decks that just, I think it has more to do with the coloring in the cards that really just, I don't know, it's like sunsets and sunrises in the later parts of the day. And it's the August feeling, the heat and the dryness. And I don't know, it doesn't evoke a lot of watery feelings in me, and it doesn't evoke a lot of spring feelings in me. Not that it's not there, but it just feels more fall to me. So that's why I chose the Mystic Fairy Tarot. Okay, number 4, Philosopher's Stone, a deck that aids in mental transformation. So again, I'm going with another older deck. I have a lot of older decks, so just be ready for that. And I chose the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. The reason why I chose this deck is because it is not a traditional tarot deck. Your traditional meanings are not in here. So it definitely provides a mental transformation in order to use these cards. And they are beautiful. And they have a lot going on inside them too. And they evoke something inside in your mental capacity, you know, that just really draws out different meanings in the cards. I mean, it gives so much in such a little tiny card to really just explore, and a new way to explore it via, you know, the system that she created in her book. So this is my Philosopher's Stone. Though I definitely don't use it enough, for sure. Definitely don't. All right, number 5 is a deck that you can use by the candlelight, in candlelight shadow. And I chose the Ethereal Visions Luna Tarot. Obviously, because of its, you know, sparkly goodness, right? I love that about this, which would be very gorgeous in moonlight, or I mean, candlelight. So that's why I chose this one. I think that it would just be so pretty, just lit up by candles. It would be so pretty. And it's got that kind of, you know, not bright light vibe. And I like that. I have the Ethereal Visions too, but I prefer the Luna because like the cards seem to be a little bit richer than the Ethereal Visions. The Ethereal Visions regular one seems a lot more muted. All right, the next one is Ghost of the Past, a sentimental deck. That for me is going to be the Shadowscapes Tarot. This is sentimental to me because it's one of my very first tarot decks. One of the first ones I learned tarot on. And it's sentimental because I don't use it that often. The art has gotten extremely hard for me to see all of the details in, which makes it a struggle to actually use the deck. But it's one of my all-time favorite decks. It's one of my soul decks. I love this deck so very much. I don't know, that the artist she's got so much beauty in her style and grace and the fluidity of it all. It's a very fae feeling deck to me, very fantasy, it's got a lot of emotion in it even. And I love this deck so much. All right. Number 7, Scholarly Pursuit. A deck that is ideal for, Scholarly Pursuit. A deck you use for study to learn and gain a deeper comprehension of the cards. Okay, now, so this one's going to come up with a newer deck. That doesn't want to go in the box. Okay. This is a newer deck that I got from US Games, the Old Style Tarot. And the reason why I chose this one is because of the book, actually. So it does follow traditional RWS, but the artist takes some liberties with it. And it feels like a really great, like user-friendly learning deck. And I'm actually working with using reversals in this deck because the book has some unique stuff in it that I really enjoy. And I don't normally work with reversals. But this deck is absolutely stunning. It's a newer deck released this year, 2024. In the book, this is what I mean. Like, if you open it up, you get the upright version and then like the advice from the upright version. Then you get the reversed version and a warning that goes with the reversed version. And then if you just want a quick answer, you get a quick answer option too for pulling cards. And that is just beautiful to me. I love this style of reading with the cards, and I'm learning quite a lot from it. Okay, so up next is number 8, the Moonlit Daydream, a deck that reminds you of forgotten fantasies that linger in your head at midnight. And for this one, it's an oldie, but a new one too. US Games redid it. I chose Tarot of the Moon Garden. And this is the newer version. It's a borderless edition, and the cardstock is a little bit better too. And it's got the gilded edges and everything else. But this deck right here has always just kind of held on to my brain and trying to figure out all the different things going on inside the deck. Plus Moonlight, it's Tarot of the Moon Garden. I couldn't help use it for this particular prompt. It's so gorgeous. And the images, they linger with you. Not because they're bad or anything, but it's the idea of trying to figure it out, trying to work through what is all going on inside each one of the images. And I really like that about this deck. So then we're on to number 9, which is Withering Heights, an emotionally charged deck. So I wasn't quite sure where to go with this prompt, and instead of going, like emotions inside readings or anything like that, I went with a deck that is emotionally charged for me specifically. And that for me is the Crystal Visions Tarot, which is my secondary soul deck. And the Crystal Visions Tarot is very firmly in the Fae realm for me, but the colors evoke a strong sense of emotion for me as well. And it feels charged, and maybe that's just because I've used it a lot, but it's got really bold colors, fiery colors, strong coloring, and it's a love deck to me. Like, I do this for love readings, which, again, emotionally charged. So that's my emotionally charged deck, and yeah. That's that. There's not really much else to say about it because it's more what I'm feeling emotionally, not what you guys feel emotionally, right? Okay, so then up next we have number 10, the Ivy Covered Tower, a deck that evokes the spirit of your most loved mentor. So I'm going to be pulling out Brian Froud's deck, the Fairies Oracle, because he is my mentor. As you guys know, I am also a creator. I create fairies and goblins and goddesses out of polymer clay. And Brian Froud and Wendy Froud have been a huge, huge inspiration to my art and even to my fairy faith. So there's a lot that goes on with the Frouds that they're my mentor. They're my Ivy Tower, So that's my Ivy Tower deck. Okay, up next, number 11. We're almost done, guys. It's the Golden Sunset deck. The deck that reminds you of pleasures you endure during summer's waning hours. Okay, I chose the Forhaxa Tarot. Partially because of the colors in it, but also just because of the stories. Like, summertime for me, especially like waning hours of summertime, waning season and stuff, is about campfires and stories by the fire. And that's what this deck kind of evokes, in my opinion, especially for me. And it reminds me of s'mores, and it reminds me of, stars at night while the fire's burning bright. It reminds me of camping in tents out by a lake and just watching the sunset and enjoying water play and swimming and just time with family and friends. And that's what this deck evokes for me. So that's why I chose this one. Okay, we have one more deck to go. And this one was hard for me to choose. But the prompt is Whispers Under the Oak Tree, a deck that makes you think of ageless realities that lurk within the depths of our souls. So after working with it this last month in September for a while, I chose the Monsoon Tarot. The book is not great, but that's not why I chose it. I chose it because it feels like one of those decks that's a whisper. You know what I mean? That's soul related. And not all the cards have faces, and some of the cards are just turned on their head in a different way that you wouldn't expect. Like the Strength card, for example, and it's almost like your soul is peeking out in this deck. I guess that's the best way for me to describe it. And it's such a muted deck. right? I mean, but it has some harsh truths in it too. But it's like, it's one of those decks that you have to think about. And that's why I chose this deck, is because it's one of those ones you actually have to sit and think about. And I think that is really powerful in its readings, when you have to sit and just work through it instead of just looking at your basic RWS. You're looking at an art style that has kind of been turned different, but it's still based off RWS, and you're trying to figure out how to put the two of them together, right? So it's really powerful and thought evoking, and that's why I chose this one. So thank you so much for watching. I will leave a link in the description to the original tarot tag, and I hope you guys have a very great day.